here with my new friend, Rob Poleki. I'm excited to talk about his company and his experience as an entrepreneur. We actually have some friends that are mutual. We talked beforehand and I couldn't believe it. I was going through his Facebook and his LinkedIn profile and just getting an idea of Rob and who he was and what he was about. And he knew my friend Ron Manu from high school. And you guys knew each other how, Rob?
We're cousins. You know, all Samoans are cousins. We're all related.
That's right. Everybody's cousins.
He's my next door neighbor in Samoa. Our parents grew up together somehow. So we're cousins.
Ron was a pretty stellar guy in high school. So really a good guy. And you know, Malcolm, who works with us and you know, a lot of people, I guess. How's that helped you as an entrepreneur? You know, knowing a lot of people and networking, has that helped you? I mean, you seem like an outgoing guy. What would you say?
It's been the base of marketing for us.
Right.
With Washie, I've told my story about the ups and downs of being an entrepreneur, and it's connected with everyone I know because everyone has an idea, everyone has a dream, and they're living it through me as I go through this journey. But you know, I come from politics. I used to be an elected official.
I saw that. You were like a state legislator or something like that for a while.
I was the county clerk. I don't know if you know what the county clerk is.
I gave you a promotion.
Yeah, tons of responsibility. But, you know, since a lot of people know me, I've been able to make my way and get introductions. And, you know, the warm introduction is the best way to make sales.
No question.
And you know, so knowing people and having, you know, the Polynesian connection, you know, I'm blessed. I'm blessed because people know Polynesian people and everybody's my cousin. So that's how it works.
I got to say, guys, that Rob and I were talking about our friendship because I love Polynesians, particularly Samoans, because they're such incredible people. So, you know, at an early age, I learned talofa. I learned to love their food, their culture. And I teased him because I said, everybody's cousins in that culture. So that's the reference to cousins, but it is a little true. There is a lot of familial relationships there. And how did you get your start? So from politics to entrepreneurship, I don't see that path a lot of the time. It's kind of unusual. I mean, what was the launch pad from going from politics into entrepreneurship?
Well, especially jumping into the restroom business. So, you know, when I introduce myself, I say,
the restroom business. That's so funny, by the way. I love it.
You know, I introduce myself. Hey, I'm Rob. I used to be a politician, but from politics to the restroom industry, same crappy business, right? But
I love it. That's great.
I you know, served as an elected official for 5 years. Prior to that, I've been in government my whole life. I graduated from Idaho State University with a social work degree, so I was a social worker, and I became.
See, that makes you all the more unusual. You know, social work to politics. I often tell people in my business, you know, I'm an accountant, I'm a CPA, but I'm also an entrepreneur, and I own 4 companies. But you know, I often tell people I actually think a degree in counseling would serve somebody better in my profession than knowing all the tax laws and accounting and entrepreneurial things. Sometimes I think people just want to connect with people, particularly this last year with COVID. There's just a real need for connection, you know. So I see the path for you, how you came from counseling into what you're doing. That's kind of cool.
Yeah,
and maybe more social work than counseling, but I get it. Yeah.
Well, social worker, connecting with people, you know, it's been way easy for me, especially the way, you know, I was raised and growing up. You know, I came from a very humble beginnings, you know, and we always had people helping us out. So that's why I went into social work. You know, I figured I need to give back. I need to help out my community. But, you know, one day, you know, as an elected official, I had done as much as possible. I had changed so much in the county and things were going great. And one day I was like, you know, there's more for me in this life. I could have stayed as an elected official in that position until I was 60, 70 years old, retired with good benefit, good 401k. But, you know, I couldn't just sit there and do nothing anymore. You know, I felt like my potential was maxed there. So I went down the list of ideas, and I had this idea in 2015 when I was at the airport with my 4-year-old son. And I was like, you know what? No one has come up with this idea yet. No one has made this innovation into restrooms. I'm going to do it. I'm going to figure this out, and I'm going to do it. So that was the kind of the transition. I was done with being an elected official. I was done serving my community. I wanted to fulfill that need as an entrepreneur, and go into that field. So that's kind of how I got into it.
So let me get this right. You were with your 4-year-old, you went to a restroom, and I've done it. You know, I had kids, and you wipe that thing down, you put the paper on all nice, and then they're scared to death when you pick them up and you set them down. They're scared to death. And I think I get it, you know, because here's this little 4-year-old, and you're sticking them on this big adult seat, and you don't know what kind of germs are transmitting. Right? And all of a sudden you have this stroke of genius. Is that right? I mean, or
John,
did it?
It was exactly how you described it. You know, my son and I were at the airport. The stall opens up, and the guy before us had tinkled all over the seat. And I you know, it's the only stall my son has to take care of. But he needs to take care of business. Yeah. And so I wiped down the seat to put a toilet seat cover on, and I try to put him on, and he's kicking his feet. He's like, I'm not sitting on that thing. What is that?
Exactly. He understands what we don't.
So I ran. I ran and grabbed some paper towels and some soap, and I cleaned the seat down for him so he can sit down and be comfortable. Right.
What
and I was
dad.
like, why in this restroom is it everything is hands-free to eliminate germs? Except for the most important thing. No one has made any innovation to the paper toilet seat. My
contact with the toilet seat is not clean, right?
Right. The most important thing. So, and women have to sit 100% of the time. Women always have to take
feel
children.
bad for our wives and women and our daughters. I mean, I just really feel bad. Yeah. At least we have segregated, you know, restrooms because men sometimes don't clean up after themselves. You know? I get a kick out of men that leave the washroom having not washed their hands, and I think, anyways.
So that's how I came up with it.
So, and I think it's a stroke of genius because I saw what you did, and I thought, oh man, that's great. I think it's a beautiful idea, but now you got to build, you know, a mock-up of your product. You got to get it manufactured. You go through. I mean, there's probably not a little bit of money invested in this thing, is there? I mean, what'd you do to get this thing? How did you build your first prototype? Walk us through that.
You should see the video of my first prototype. It is me going into Home Depot, getting a bunch of toilet seats, sprinkler heads, tubing, a dispenser. I mean, this thing looks ugly. The first prototype, and I made the prototype just to show how it works. You know, it wasn't going to be the final, but just to show that you know how this thing works, and to show my wife, like, you know, my wife had to give me final approval for me to move.
Yeah, honey, I'm leaving our stable 40-hour-a-week job, and I'm going to go sell toilet seats. Push the button, it'll dispense the soap.
So I tell, you know, a lot of people follow me on this journey and have ideas on their own. And I tell them, listen, go to Home Depot and build it. If you can build it, everything is at Home Depot. You can build it. If you can build it, it's the first step into manufacturing. It's the first step into building CAD designs, you know, and you know, me becoming an inventor, you know, I have 2 patents issued. I never, ever thought I would become an official inventor.
Now, did you represent yourself before the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, or did you go hire an attorney and get all that done?
I hired an attorney, one of the best in Idaho. He's undefeated in patents. He always gets a patent for his client.
I want that name later. So cool.
And he guided me. You know, I had to do a lot of the work though, because he doesn't know anything about toilet seats. He doesn't know anything about toilet bowls, and I had to figure it out for him so he could present it, you know. And so there was tons and tons of work, but it got done. I can call myself an inventor because I didn't give up on it, you know.
And you got your name on a patent. I mean, people can look that up. You've created a little bit of history and a legacy for your kids. You know, you can say, Dad's on a patent here. So that's awesome.
Even though it's about a toilet seat, hey, a patent is a patent.
Yeah. Well, patents aren't cheap. How did you finance that? Out of the sales, or did you bring in a little investor money? Did you borrow from Amex, Visa, MasterCard? What'd you do to kind of get that going?
Yeah, this is where the entrepreneur journey starts, my friend. I took some of our savings and we started with that. And then when I quit my job for Shark Tank, I cashed in my 401k. I've been with the government for a long time. And I was like, you know what? I'm going all in and I'm going to cash in my 401k, and took me about 100 grand. And, you know, we've come this far to getting patents, getting prototypes, getting our molds made. I've taken investor money. So, I mean, every step along the way has been different, but I had to use my own money at first.
Well, total respect, man, because I'm an entrepreneur. That's, you know, you just got to put up the first dollar. You got, like you say, you got to go in. You're in or you're out. Yeah. And you went for it. And you know, there are a lot of people, and there's a lot to be said about moonlighting, you know, hanging on to the secure job, but I have total respect for the guys who say, you know, we're going for it. We're all in on this baby. And sometimes, eventually, I guess what I tell entrepreneurs is you'll have to do that. Eventually, you've got to become 100% committed to what you're doing, you know? So tell me about the company. The company is called what? Washie?
Yeah, the company's called Washie. And we have a product.
How's it set up? A C corporation? You know, is it partnership? C corporation? S corporation?
No, right now it's set up as an LLC. Yep.
Okay. And about how many people own this thing? Are you allowed to tell me that?
Yeah.
Or?
So there's about 9 investors in the company.
Okay.
Local investors in Idaho, Boise, Pocatello, and one in Utah. And they've mostly been friends and family that have come along and invested money. So, yeah.
And how fast after, and when did you build your first product that you could sell? How long did that take you?
So in 2018, I was issued the first patent. And, you know, from 2015 to 18, I just took it really slowly, you know, with just working on a patent. I wasn't going to put any more money into it unless I got the patent, right? And so once the patent was issued, I was like, you know what? I put in already 15, 20 grand into this thing. Now it's time to start making them. So I went to a cleaning trade show in Dallas, and I found a manufacturer there. And I was like, you know what? I got to find my manufacturer. So I found a manufacturer to make it for me. I went in 2019 to China for the first time. Best trip of my life.
Glad COVID hadn't happened yet, because that probably saved you. Yeah.
Prior to COVID. And found my manufacturer and worked with them, and they started making the actual prototypes. But we got our official first product the beginning of this year. So
that's
the beginning of 2021.
And so now your sales are going, correct?
So yeah, so we had a very small initial shipment of 50 seats, right? So we're working with 50 seats. And these are the stories that, you know, people love to hear about entrepreneurs.
Hey, it's the culture of your company. I think everything's sold on a story. You know, I have a guy, he was a billionaire, and he was a client for a long time. And he thinks the power of a story is really what sells companies. He's big on that. So I hope you're writing this stuff down and keeping it. But tell me what happened with these 50.
Yeah, people are rooting for the underdog, right? People are reading and supporting and watching because they feel like, oh, that could be me in Rob's shoes. That could be me one day. But you know, I got these 50 right before Chinese New Year, right? Everybody's rushing to get product out of China right before Chinese New Year. And
wouldn't have thought about that, but that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. And so I got 50. And so we had a local hospital that that bought them, and I'm the CEO of the company. I'm going into disgusting restrooms on the floor installing these toilet seats, right? And so the
Good for
first night,
you. Good for you as a CEO. You're learning exactly what it takes to get these things in. Okay.
Oh,
First night.
and it's backbreaking work. The maintenance people that you see, I mean, thank them. They do some, I know it's their job, but backbreaking work, disgusting work. Right. They have to clean up after us. But I go in, install, 1 o'clock in the morning, I get done, really tired. And the next morning, the hospital calls me and says, Rob, these things aren't working. Like, something's going on with them. I'm like,
no kidding.
Are you serious? No. I was just there. I just tested them. They work. So I go over back to the hospital, and in one of the sensors inside of the seat is going off because of the coldness of the water when people flush the toilet. So I'm like, the manufacturer messed with the sensors without me knowing, right? They did some modifications without me knowing. Yeah. Okay. So I had to go take these 50 seats out, take them to my engineer. They had to be
after
fixed.
You'd been up all night too.
Up all night. It took 6 weeks to fix these 50 seats. I had to go back, reinstall them. I mean, it was a nightmare. The biggest nightmare that you expect these first 50 to come in and like, oh my gosh, my product is here. It looks beautiful. It works well. And then when you install it, something happens. But it was like, it was the hardest time. One of the hardest times, because my product isn't working, my reputation for my company, for this invention, it's going downhill because these things aren't working. But I had to go through that. I had to go through that first 50, because what if I ordered 1,000? Then I would have had a bigger problem. So I'm so glad that it launched with a small amount. And that I found the problem so the manufacturer could fix the problem. I got on the phone with the manufacturers and it's like, don't make any modifications without me knowing, fix the problem. And so the next 150 that came were good. Yeah. You know what I mean? So we keep getting these small orders in, we keep implementing and putting them in, making sure that the product works before we go nationwide.
And how long did it take for these toilets seats to get manufactured and shipped to you? So if you put an order in today for, I mean, I'm sure it's more than 50, but let's say you put in an order for 1,000. How long is it going to take you from putting that order in till you've got product to ship to somebody?
About 9 weeks.
Okay. 9 weeks. So you got to do a little sales forecasting. You got to kind of have an idea. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yes. And so I want to just ask you one question that just was burning on my mind, because you're going through all this adversity, right? You've put up a whole bunch of money to get a patent. You're waiting for the patent. You're strong arming it with your Home Depot products and building a prototype, and then you go down to this trade show, which is awesome. That's an awesome idea to go find a manufacturer. You get it manufactured. You install all these seats. They're not doing. I can't imagine your bank account is going up during this time. So having been there, buddy, having been in the trenches with you, I got to ask you how your family was doing through this, because it's not just the entrepreneur. It's not just the business owner that's making the sacrifice. Tell me about the dynamics. I assume you're married because you have a son, right?
Yeah.
Tell me the dynamics of the family and how you're supported by this. That's one of the things I love about your cultures, is family is like one of the most important things. So tell me what's going on at home.
So I'm pretty blessed that when I was an elected official, I had set myself up for success, and that my wife is also an entrepreneur. After after her social work life, she became an entrepreneur, real estate agent. She runs a commercial cleaning business in Pocatello. And
fantastic.
And for 2 years, she's been paying the bills. As I go on this journey, and I don't pay myself a salary. I try to bootstrap this company.
Absolutely.
My wife has been paying the bills. My wife has been running this awesome company that has been paying the bills. So we have also, like, throughout having the 9 to 5 jobs, we've also had this side hustle, doing something on the side, making money on the side while having the 9 to 5. And that side hustle for my wife became full time, where now she can manage employees and send them out to cleans. So we were surviving because my wife was paying for the bills.
And she obviously believes in you. She has total faith in what you're doing, it sounds like.
Oh yeah. I had to get the permission of my wife first before I even started this thing, because I mean, she's my partner. If I didn't have her support, then I couldn't move forward with a company without her support. And she believes in the product as well. So
thanks for sharing that, Rob, because I totally have a similar background. My wife had to be all in. We bootstrapped our businesses too. In fact, when I started this business, I intentionally, because I wanted to tell entrepreneurs, because I work with them all the time, I started this with $100. It can be done. It's hard to bootstrap it, but it works. Yeah. So tell me about the sales now since these original 50. Kind of how have things matured now? You're what, 8 months later from the devastating 50-seat installation.
So those 50 seats are out in the market in various places. We have them at a country club, at an airport, at a hospital. We divvied those seats up and spread them out because we don't have too much inventory, and the marketing value for us to be seen in high traffic restrooms is huge, right? If we're in a airport, and people see these seats, they're going to go back to their facility and say, I saw this toilet seat at the airport. We need this thing, right? So we kind of divvied it up and strategically placing these seats. I've had to deny people of orders because I didn't think it was the right fit for the initial, 1,000 seats we get. I have to put them in places where they're going to be seen, not in a office space where only the office people are going to see them. I need to be in public places. That's
a great idea, because you're taking your marketing pitch to, traffic, really. You're diverting a river, not digging a well, as we say. You're just diverting everything over to seeing your product. And so I imagine that's created a ton of demand for you. Is that right?
Here's the prime example, right? We met with Dallas Fort Worth Airport. They have 82 million people run through the airport, running $1 billion budget. And if we had our seats in there, the marketing value for us, 82 million people, even half of them, if they see our seats, 40 million seeing our seats, and we didn't put $0 into marketing. Huge. It's huge for us. And because we only have, so we have 50 seats out in the market, 150 seats ready to go. I just barely moved my family to Utah to launch in Utah. So we made another risk, took another leap.
You left Idaho for Utah?
we left Idaho.
Where are you in Utah, by the way? Where'd you decide to end up in Utah?
I have an office in Lehi. We live in Harriman, Utah.
Okay. So some of my family lives near Lehi, up in Alpine and Highland area. So a lot has happened in that area. It's just exploded in terms of entrepreneurial and business growth. So
and that's why
they call it silicon slopes. We might have to call it toilet seat slopes if your pace of growth. I don't know. So what is the biggest problem today? You're still kind of early, but what's the biggest problem, do you think, for you today?
Yeah, manufacturing, production, inventory has been the problem for a year, right? Getting the seat as perfect as it can be has been the problem for the last 6 months. Now that we have a little inventory, 150 seats to go out, strategically placing these seats in malls, event centers, and saying no to
Jon Miller's home.
Hard.
You didn't have to put it in my home, but I'm just kidding. My wife is going to see this and she's going to say, how do we get one of those seats? But
Yeah.
here's the
So
deal. She's going to want to know that there's something that'll clean the bowl too. I want it all.
yeah,
So what is
that's
one
been
of
the
these
problem.
things roughly run cost-wise, would you say? I mean, I'm sure your pricing's changing as the product changes, but today as it sits, about what is one of these seats cost?
Yeah, so a single seat costs $2.99. Our seat
Oh,
is
that's fair.
yeah,
I
it's
think
the
that's very
first
fair. Yeah.
yeah, it's the first smart toilet seat for public restrooms too. So it helps maintenance crews. You connects by Bluetooth to our app, so maintenance
I was
crews
just
never
going
have
to
to
joke
check.
that you must have a USB port on the side, but it's actually smarter than that. I got a
it's
Bluetooth app for it.
it's
Oh,
Bluetooth
that is
connected.
awesome.
It tells you how much battery life it has, how much cartridge life it has.
Get out of
So,
town.
so you don't have to ever check it manually. You just check the app and
Yeah.
it tells you the data, right? So we're the
Oh,
first
that's cool.
smart toilet seat, and then we are the first seat that an actual user can wipe down, sanitize the seat before they sit down. So a single seat costs $2.99, but airports and they buy in bulk. Over 100 seats, you get a wholesale pricing. So, it gets cheaper if you buy more.
Do you also
yeah.
sell the products like the wipe or the soap or I don't know what you call it, disinfectant? You sell all, so that you're the supplier for the wipes and the disinfectant or soap. Good.
So John, that's how we make our money. We are the razor.
I was going to say,
model.
You got the seat that gives you a little profit, and then you got the follow on forever, hopefully.
So
awesome.
They buy this canister from us, this unique looking bottle. It only fits in our seat. And after they make the initial purchase, every month we'll go back to them and say, hey, we'll look at their data and say, you might need 5 more bottles of this or 100 more bottles of these. And so
how many
buy
bottles
from us every month.
in like a Dallas Fort Worth airport? How many bottles would a typical seat go through in a month, would you say?
Well, so
have you got for their, that kind of data?
Yeah, for their busiest restroom, they counted 1,100 uses in a day per restroom, right? And so our canisters hold 2,000 uses per canister. And so if somebody
used about every other day or so, somebody's going to be replacing the canister.
Yeah,
does that sound about right in a really busy restaurant?
Yeah, and they have like 20 stalls in one, 10 stalls in the other, so divvied up.
Okay.
It could be anywhere from 3 to 7 days, depending on the day,
Yeah. So tell me about your goals. I set goals, and it's funny, sometimes they take longer. Sometimes I think, wow, that happened faster than I thought for my businesses. But what's your goals now for your business? What are you looking to do?
Yeah. So our first goal was always to sell our first 1,000 seats in the year, right? Start slow, crawl. I've always had the lesson because I've always wanted to ramp. But, life hits me again and says, nope, you better start crawling. You better crawl before you walk. And so selling our first 1,000 seats, getting a good product in and selling our first 1,000 seats is the goal. Thereafter is we connect with janitorial distribution companies across the nation, and we become a supplier for them for our seats, and they have their own sales teams, they have their own accounts that they will go sell to. So it becomes easier for us. We don't need the biggest sales team. We just connect with distribution companies thereafter. But the goal is to sell.
More of a channel type of sales approach where you're selling to the janitorial supply channel, and then they're making it happen for you. That's going to be huge distribution. I can see that it might take a lot of capital. How are you looking to develop a permanent capital base in terms of financial resources to handle the inventory and the other types of needs you're going to have? Have you thought about that?
Yeah, so I have bootstrapped this company, trying to save the equity. One day I will make a
By the way, I'm proud of you for doing that. I teach my entrepreneurs, if you can't bootstrap it, then what makes you think you're going to do it with $4 million? Everybody wants to go out and raise a lot of money, but if you can bootstrap it and make it, you can make it at 4 million, you can make it 8 million, you can make it at any level. So thanks for saying that, because I believe you. I totally believe you.
It's the only
So
way to go, you know.
yeah,
I'm going. The plan is to get a strategic partnership with a company that's in the restroom industry, like Sloan or American Standard. You
yeah,
know, they have been making partnerships with companies like mine. I'm just waiting for the right time, making sure the product is good, get 1,000
yeah,
seat sales out there, so we show that
yeah.
there is a need for it.
Mhm.
COVID has blessed me, so there is a need for
Oh
it now.
yeah, no
Yeah, and
question.
so
People are
it's just
thinking
timing.
about that now like never before, I'll bet you.
Yeah.
And how many seats do you have in inventory today? Like, what do you think?
We have 50 out in the market and 150 ready to launch in Utah. So strategic
Great.
placement
Salt Lake
is so
Airport, buddy.
crucial. Yeah, it's so
Yeah.
crucial to us. And we're in
Yeah.
discussions with Salt Lake City Airport.
Well, and they're
It's just
renovating the
timing.
whole airport, so it's perfect timing for guys like that. I would think, but who knows,
Yeah,
you know? So
yeah. We took a
interesting.
tour. The airport gave us a tour of the new Delta
Mhm.
wing before
Mhm.
it was even made, and showed us. So we've been in discussions with them. Hopefully something happens.
Now I know because like we are growing, so we have to add. You know, we're buying things like furniture during COVID and all kinds of stuff. And my furniture supplier even tells me, John, I can't even get product right now. It's sitting on a ship
Yeah.
out in the Pacific, and they can't even bring the ship in to offload it and stuff. And you know, you're saying 9 weeks though from the point where you order
Oh,
till you get the product at your door, and that's
that
a pretty good number to go by, huh?
and that's without all these issues. With these issues, it's been
Oh, with
longer.
these
So yeah,
issues, I believe
yeah.
that. Boy, I was
So
impressed when you said 9 weeks. That's
no,
crazy.
it's so usual. If there's
Mhm.
nothing going on, if this COVID
Mhm.
thing wasn't happening,
Yeah,
that's how
yeah.
long it would take. But we also have the same problem. It took us 3 weeks to
Mhm.
get a shipping date. Our product was ready, and it took us 3 weeks to even get a shipping
Mhm.
date. From the port of Shenzhen to here. So
Yeah,
it takes forever, and the cost of materials has gone up so much because everything is stuck in
right.
Long Beach. So plastics have gone up, like everything is going
Yeah,
up. I'm having so supply chain,
yeah.
inventory, it's all been my issue. Customers, people are interested. People are like, what is this? Let me see. Oh my gosh, we need something like this.
Right,
So
right.
the interest is there,
Mhm.
hardly any product. So that's a story of
That's a
my life
tough
right
one.
now.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
and your manufacturer, what do you think their manufacturing capability is right now? I mean, I know that the whole supply chain and shipment issue, but what could
Yeah.
they reasonably produce for you in a year if you had the orders?
Yeah, so we have some experienced manufacturers that are making some big products for companies now.
Okay.
The one manufacturer makes dispensers, and they are
Hmm.
known nationwide. And then the others
Okay.
are kind of in the electronics field, big in Utah, Silicon Valley.
Mhm.
So we have two manufacturers, right? And so every 3 weeks they could make 10 to 20,000 seats, depending on the
Hmm.
order. So every
So you
three
can have you
weeks.
can have plenty of seats then all across the
Yeah,
United States. Yeah.
if you think about it, it's just big bulky plastic. It's nothing really
Do they do
technological.
injection mold, or how do they make these things? Or
Yeah,
I mean,
injection
it's all
molding.
injection molding.
My
Interesting.
my molds cost about
Fantastic.
180 grand
Uh-huh.
to pay for the molds. Our first run cost us about 60
Wow.
grand.
And so is
So
that a
yeah,
capital investment you had to make in tools and molds and things,
yeah.
or
So I had to go
wow.
find, I had to go find investors to help me pay
Mhm.
for it because I put 100 grand initially for all this R&D,
Mhm.
for prototyping and patents, and then I was quickly running out of money, and then I had
Mhm.
to go find some investors and try to take as little as money as possible to keep continue the company.
You're very wise, Rob. So let me ask you this now. What have you learned? What would you do that's maybe different now from what you've done these last few years? Is there anything you'd change?
Um, Definitely my time with my family. With
Okay.
business wise, I think that failure is the best thing. Failure is the best thing, and how you react to failure is how you succeed and learn. I come from a social work. I have no business degree, right? I've learned everything by failing and by Google. Everything on my Google.
See, for me, it's YouTube, how to fix a toilet seat. YouTube,
right? So everything for business wise, right? I wouldn't have changed. I mean, I may have done things different, engineering wise, to speed up the process, but I don't know. Things happen for a reason.
Well, let's ask you that. Do you think there was anything that you could have done that would have made it go faster?
Yeah. If I would have hired an engineer off the get-go, I would have had the design much quicker. Right. I did it myself at first, and I slowly did it. I was getting into CAD designs. I was trying to figure it out myself. I had to go to 3 engineering firms, and I finally found one that worked for me the third time. But if I had found that person the third time, if I found him the first time, it was shaved off at least a year and a half. Yeah, shaved off at least a year and a half. However, COVID came in time for my product, right? Without COVID, everybody would not be asking, what is this product? We need this product. Prior to COVID, there was some interest. So I feel like everything was sent, it fell in place for me. And so changing the story, I wouldn't go back. I would do some things, little things different, but nothing drastically. But what I would change though is spending time away from my family, right? I wish I would have structured that better. I have 4 children. My wife takes care of our 4 children. Yeah. And being away from them a lot. I was an elected official. I was always away. And now being an entrepreneur, I'm away a lot. Being here. And so I started to change that, right? I made sure that I coached every child's sport. Yeah. And it's like, okay, you know what? I'm going to always try to be here on the weekends. And after 5, it's my kids' time, that I didn't lose that time with my kids. So changing anything would be more time with my family.
Going back, I think I stopped you, or we shifted for just a moment, but tell me how you plan to develop enough capital, permanent capital base to handle your inventory needs as you really start to explode here, because that's what's going to happen. There's no question.
Jon, there's no plans. That's when I reach out to people like you and say, help me with the plan. We have been flying like week by week, month by month on what is the plan, right? I mean, there's definitely an outlay of how we're going to get inventory in, when we get it in, and how we're going to pay for it. Yeah. But things are constantly changing every week. We have to fly by week to week because we don't know what's happening, right? Like this, just for example, this past week, our manufacturer told us, "Oh, we just put another 200 seats on a ship. It's coming," and we're like, "When did this happen? We didn't schedule it." So things like that, right? And paying for that inventory. You gotta roll with it. You gotta roll with the punches. But strategically for how to finance, right? We're counting on PO financing, right?
There you go. You can finance POs all day long.
We have scheduled out, so we have enough money to pay for our first 1,000 seats. Our first 1,000 seats should make enough revenue for us to continue as a company and get another 5,000 seats. However, when we start to explode and when the nation sees this, we're going to count and rely on PO finance, right? And there's a lot of guys with deep pockets in our area, and they're like, show me the PO, and I'll give you the money for it, up to $1 million a month. So
that's great.
That's one way that we're planning on that.
And there's enough profit margin in these seats that you'll be able to pay for the financing and still develop enough profit to then expand and add more seats or more inventory.
So we're making our seats at $70 a pop right now. If we order more, it goes down to about $50 a pop. We sell them for $2.99.
Yeah,
and then
that's good.
and then
Good
we're
numbers.
making our cartridges for $5, a cartridge of chemical for less than $5, and we sell it for $29.99. So
That's good.
there's definitely a lot of margin for us to breathe.
And I can see that the cartridge sales are going to go far beyond the toilet seat sales at some point.
Yeah.
You're going to see that be eclipsing everything.
How
with
long
the
do you
marketing
think the
value,
toilet
seat? Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
With the marketing value of some of these businesses, like at Vivint, right, where the Utah Jazz play, I would just give them the seats. I would say, here, this is my gift to you. However,
I hope you're hearing this, Jazz organization.
However, they will purchase, when they purchase 2 cartridges from me, that pays for the seat. And then thereafter, they're going to continue to purchase. So we'll create that lifelong sale. It's not just a one-time sale.
I'd love to see your seats at Jazz games. That'd be awesome. Well, let's talk about sports for a second, because you got a background in sports. I think you played football. You're from New Zealand, so you clearly played some rugby, and and you've been an elected official. How has sports and politics kind of shaped and molded your mindset and your attitude as an entrepreneur? Well, how has it helped you, and how has it maybe held you back?
It's been the biggest lesson. It's never held me back. It's because of teamwork, right? So I was captain of my most of my sports. I was a leader in teamwork. When you play team sports and you're the leader, you better lead by example. You better be the first one there. You better be the last one cleaning up. You better take the punches for the team. So team sports is definitely, it should help. Whoever's played team sports should help them in business, because they know how to play their spots, right?
Well, and they know how to overcome adversity too. When you're, I remember years ago watching a baseball player. All of a sudden, his name is Ricky Henderson. I don't know if you remember Ricky Henderson, but he played for the A's. He played for Cleveland. I remember watching this guy, and they'd be, 8 runs down in the bottom of the 9th. There's no chance his team was going to win, and Ricky was out stealing bases. That's such a unique mindset, because sometimes you're 9 runs down in the toilet seat business. I'll bet. I know in just about any business, you're 9 runs down, or you're down by 4 touchdowns, and you're in the end of the game. And how you pulling it together? How you putting that that mindset back that you're going to win, you're going to overcome this. Has that helped you?
Oh, it has definitely helped me, and I'm glad I played team sports since I was like 6 years old to about 23 years old, and that 17 years of playing sports and training my mind that when things get tough, you better suck it up, suck it up and get through it and get past it, right, and overcome that. It's helped me so much to learn. I mean, especially like, you see that game, Reggie Miller in the NBA Finals, where he scores like 9 points in like 16 seconds, beat it, like things stuff. Like that. Don't ever count yourself out until it's done. So
and I
think
people don't think about it. It starts right in your head. It starts, every action we take starts with a thought. And if we're structuring our thoughts to fail, we got to get rid of that nonsense. We got to start to believe in ourselves first. Yeah. If you can believe in yourself and what you're doing, you have so much more of the advantage. And that's why I think team sports actually helps a lot. Probably politics too, because in a way you're running in elections, you're facing a tough public out there. I can't imagine they're very kind to public officials these days. They probably find lots of fault with guys like you, right?
I got out just in time, but in politics, half of the people love you, half of the people hate you, and so
it's funny.
You can never please anyone,
I've had the town mayor come and invite me to run for city council before, and I said, "Why do I want to run for city council?" Just like what you said, half the town's going to hate me immediately, and I like everybody. So
yeah.
Oh, good. Well, I think it's awesome what you created, Rob. I think you're an example to your community, to to your family, and certainly to your culture. As we've talked, I love the Samoan culture. I love the people. And we need more role models like you. We need people that bootstrap it, that make it happen. What do you hope to accomplish with this company long term? What's your long-term goal?
You know, the first goal that I ever had for Washie, the bigger picture, is to give my kids and my wife and my family something that I never had, right? Like I said, I grew up with humble beginnings. Really, my parents moved all of our family from New Zealand to Hawaii with bags of clothes, with suitcases, right, full of clothes. Amazing. We had nothing, and they took that risk to provide us the American dream, which now I need to go fulfill that. They took that risk. Now I need to go live that for them, and say that they did not waste their time doing that for me. And I really appreciate what they've done. But the first ever goal was, okay, I need to create a business and create enough income to support my family and to help my parents retire, just to help give back for what they did for me. That was the initial goal. And then now that, I have friends and family that have invested in the company, now my goal is to make sure that I don't waste their money, and that I one day hit my goals, selling 100,000 seats. That's my goal for the company. Sell 100,000 seats. This is $1 billion company, based on the cartridge revenue that comes in monthly, based on the seats. We sell 100,000 seats. We'll hit that goal. And now it's to give back to the investors and to my friends that gave me their hard-earned money. So that is really the goal. I really don't see, I take business seriously, but my goals aren't really business goals. My goals are making sure that the people around me that have supported me and given me their hard-earned money and believed in me are going to be taken care of. And that goal helps me further increase the business, further grow the business, because I have this goal that I'm trying to reach, which is, hey, grow the business, make sure that you're not wasting everyone's money, make sure that their time is not wasted. So that's the end goal.
Well, Rob, you're living the American dream, buddy, and I'm a fan. I believe in you, and I think it's going to happen. You're speaking to my heart. You're speaking to the heart of the entrepreneurs out there. I almost want to come back in a year and see how things have gone.
Let's do it, John.
I truly believe you're going to be successful, and I see it by your attitude, the way you think, the decisions you're making, even with bootstrapping, all of the things you're doing. I couldn't have asked for a better guest today on our show, and I wish you the best of luck. And we'll be talking soon, Rob. So. All right.
I appreciate that, John.
Good luck.